get her a dog. Bitches love dogs, you know? You don't...
Right.
Bitches love bitches.
Bitches love bitches.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Pause Pod, the podcast where two gals who love film try to yap their way into becoming indie darlings. I'm Kara.
And I am Danny. And friends, family, listeners, we have a very exciting episode today. And Kara, do you want to say why we have a very exciting episode today?
Yes, because I'm shaking with excitement. We managed to book one of the greats. A
star.
we
A
have
star.
a star, a mover and shaker in the independent film industry, Eva Blackwell-Rogelj, one of my favorite filmmakers and friends, somebody who expands my film taste, and I'm so excited that she's joining us for this episode specifically because this episode is about women's rights and women's wrongs.
And we support all.
And I'm just so excited to dive into the poetry of being a woman with Eva.
I'm honoured to be here. I always listen to Pause Pod on my way into work to see Kara.
Ava's been a supporter of the podcast from when it was just an idea and I was too scared to tell anybody.
Pre-conception, pre-birth.
She was like, this is the creative fetus that you need to birth. You need to do this. And we are going to link Ava's amazing short film, Watering Hole, in the show notes. I highly encourage everybody to go and watch it and go support Ava on socials. Do you want to plug your film Instagram for the people?
Yeah.
Yes, it's Watering Hole Films, and we're doing like a couple. I'm in the edit for one, and I'm in pre-production for another. So we're churning them out for the galleys.
We love to hear.
And Ava was one of the first people that introduced me to Lynne Ramsay, the director that we're going to be focusing on for today. So, Danny, do you want to tell the people what films we're going to be talking about today?
Yes, I do. We are going to be dissecting something that has been kind of a hot film this year, starring two of our favorite teen actors, really, from two major teen... Throw it back. Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson in Die, My Love. And then we're also going back to Lynne Ramsay's 2002, I believe, film, Morvern Callar. And yeah, I am so excited to dive into both. And we are going to kick it right off and start with our play for today, which is Die, My Love.
Danny, do you want to start us off? Should we dive right in?
Yeah. So in the case that you don't know what Die, My Love is, it is a film about a couple, Grace and Jackson, and Grace has recently given birth to a bumbling baby boy. And they move into the middle of kind of nowhere near Jackson's family. And the middle of nowhere into Jackson's family home. And we are seeing Grace's descent into motherhood madness. And that is kind of the crux of the whole film. And it's so funny because Kara and I both walked out of the film. We watched it separately, obviously, different sides of the ocean. But we walked out of the film and both of us texted each other at different times. We were like, I have no idea how I feel about the film, but I think that I love it.
We literally sent the same text. We were like, I'm in a trance, but I think I loved it.
I literally had the exact same thing. Exact same. I had a tear falling down my face and I was like, but I don't know how I feel. Like, I'm shocked.
I don't know why. Where it's coming from.
Where's it coming from? Who knows?
What is happening? But no, I walked out and I just felt so exhausted. And I fear that might have been like the entire point.
It was kind of like a delicious exhaustion too. You were like, reveling in it.
Yeah. And so like you spend the whole film trying to get a grip on like what is reality and what isn't reality. And like the mind of this mother trying to go through this postpartum experience for her. And like a quick little tangent is in preparation for this film, like I was talking to my sister about her experiences with motherhood when she first gave birth to her son and that kind of postpartum experience. And she was like, yeah, I used to go outside for walks around the neighborhood just to get out of the house because you start getting cabin fever. And
Oh my
you
Mm.
god.
see this happening in Die My Love, where she takes the babies for walks just to get out of the house and like
Mm.
are doing these things just to get a sense of normality and to feel something. And people say that this is a very clear case of postpartum depression, but I think that this is a more clear case of postpartum psychosis, which I think are
Mm.
Mm.
different things, but also a case of a failing relationship, like between her and Jackson, which I want to talk about like in a moment. But on the standpoint of the postpartum psychosis of it all, I think something that Lynn does really brilliantly in this film is the uncomfortability of it. Like,
Mm.
she makes you sit in in this uncomfort, and the general sense of this film is it's a very unpleasant watch. Like, you are very uncomfortable while watching it, and you are falling deeper and deeper and deeper into this level of psychosis along with our main character, Grace. And we're losing our grip on reality with our main
Mm.
character. And yeah, I think something that I really loved is that the baby was a good baby. Like,
Yeah.
the baby wasn't fussy.
Yeah, the baby
It,
wasn't
the,
the
ba-
issue.
the baby was not the issue. Which is different in these kind of postpartum films, because I don't know if you guys have seen If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Um,
Desperate to see it, but
but
yes.
but in that film, you can kind of you empathize with the mom, because you're like, yeah, the kid's kind of annoying. Like, the kid is fussy, the kid is doing a lot. Um, but like in Die My Love, like as I said before, like this our homegirl is in this rinky dink house in the middle of nowhere, surrounded
She's a
by grass
creative.
She's a
fields
creative. Let
Why'd you
her
put her
write.
there?
Give her
Why'd you put her
inspiration. She's
there?
stuck in this cabin.
in middle America in the grass fields with this
Mhm.
annoying dog and this baby.
Yappy dog. I'm sorry.
I would go crazy.
I'd be mental. But that's the thing about the film. You watch all these things happen on paper, you'd be like, oh, a character kills a dog. How awful, how horrible, I hate her. But the way she directs it, you're like, fair enough. Like, you
Fair.
absolutely go on that journey with her, like you were saying, Danny.
Yeah, absolutely fair.
It's so funny, Danny, that you say that this film is a really uncomfortable watch, because it
Mhm.
is. Like, at points, it definitely is. But what struck me is, and I think this comes down to both the directing from Lynn and also Jennifer Lawrence's performance, but it has such a like dreamlike, surrealist
Mhm.
quality. I remember in interviews hearing Jennifer Lawrence talk about how she said that she wanted to hire a poet to direct this film, and I
Mhm.
definitely think like Lynne Ramsay,
Mhm.
that's how this film plays out, is this lyrical kind of like psychotic place where we're not sure what's real or not, because
Mm.
Grace isn't sure what's real or not. But as uncomfortable as it was, I was also like rooting for her. I was so
Right.
invested in her, and it's this movie magic of both like Jennifer's performance and Lynn's directing that like I was both scared of what she was going to do, but also like fully like supporting her in everything that she was doing as a character. And I just think that was incredible. Also, her like there's so many visceral moments in this film of her crawling around like the
Mhm.
field, like emulating like an animal, and also like spoiler alert, but when she throws herself through the window.
I was absolutely shook at it. I was in a cinema of like 4 people in total, including me and my boyfriend, and I burst out laughing. I was like, "This is hilarious.
No,
This
it
is
was so
so funny."
funny. It was
Like,
so
but no
funny.
one else laughed as well. So then I felt like a right psycho. I was like, "This is funny." Like, I
No, it
promise.
is funny, and
No,
actually, you were in Grace's mind because Grace would think that's funny.
Grace would
that's funny, but
laugh.
also my whole theater, they laughed. So you're not
Yeah,
psycho.
you're
I
not
think it's just the
alone.
Okay.
Brits. I'm sorry. I think it might just be the Brits.
Maybe it must be.
Yeah, but that moment and my favorite scene. Okay, this is gonna. You thought that you were right, psycho. This is gonna out me as a psycho because when I tell you what my favorite scene was, my favorite
Scream.
scene is when she destroys the bathroom and claws the walls.
That was such, and he just wants a poo. So he's like sat outside. He's like, I need a poo. And then she's like, go
Let me in.
outside. Like, it's so feral. And he's just having like a normal day, just wanting to have a poo. But she's there like scratching her nails off at this like beautiful domestic home that they have that's meant to be perfect. And it's not.
Yeah. And it's just so indicative of her just wanting to feel something, like her throwing
Right.
herself at the window, crawling around like an animal, scratching the walls. Yes, it could be like metaphorical of she's trapped in this life and she's like itching to get out. But I also like when she like is throwing the beauty products and the shampoo on the floor, it was kind of just like, fuck it. It's both hilarious and so desperately sad. And I was like, any film that can have me feeling all of this in a scene where a woman's clawing at the walls of her bathroom is an incredible feat of filmmaking.
100%.
But even going back, like we could talk about our failing marriage now on the that topic.
Yes.
Because I do think that they love each other. I do definitely think that Jackson loves her. I don't think that they were well suited, and that's fine.
Oh, I disagree.
And I love when we disagree. I love when we tussle. But I honestly do not think that Jackson was a good partner. And my point in this is, well before she went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, like fully cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs,
Right.
there had been signs that she had been struggling. Like there had been
100%.
signs that she was struggling, and he saw those signs and did very minimal to like remedy this. And I get that he was working and he's away from home and like whatever, but he saw these signs and he did very little.
All he did was bring home a damn dog.
Bring home that yapping dog.
But maybe that was what he thought would help. Like maybe he asked a friend at work and they're like, get her a dog. Bitches love dogs, you know? You don't.
Right.
Bitches love bitches.
But I'm like,
Bitches love bitches.
A dog when she's barely keeping it together, caring for your newborn while
No, it's a
you are
bad
not there.
decision. But I feel like he seems like when she's not being so psychotic and he's not striking back, he really does take a lot of the hits. Like it feels
He
like he
does.
is doing what he thinks is right, but it's so obviously wrong in our minds because you watch it from her point of view.
But that's my point. I don't think that he really like understands her. And like, I think he saw the extent of her struggle and like he saw the extent of all of that only when she throws herself through a glass door. Like,
Yeah.
that is really when he steps in.
That's when he says, okay.
Also, the entire film, literally, oh my gosh, I'm getting heated. The entire film,
Go there.
all this lady wanted was for her husband to have sex with her. And he couldn't even do that.
That's true. I mean, that's painful.
She just wanted to get laid. And I feel like sometimes, maybe if she got laid, she'd be a little happier. That's all she wanted was to get laid.
I feel like on him being like seeing her, that's why that proposal scene is just so romantic because she's crawling in the field like an absolute cuckoo. What do you say? Cuckoo
for Cocoa Puffs.
So amazing going in my vocab. But she's crawling on the floor and he gets down too. And also how Twilight was that scene because they're like laying a film. I was like, wait, I've been here before. And I feel like secretly Lynne Ramsay was playing on the minds of us and being like, they're going to remember this and they're going to know that this is romance. This is like forever love because there he is crawling on the floor, acting animalistic like she wants. But there isn't ever an excuse as to why he isn't having sex with her. But then you know how much it's all in her head because when he's on the phone and there's that waitress and they're literally getting off, but you know that that's not real. When you watch it and she knows it's not real. So I feel like she's trying to give herself a cheating reason as to why he's not touching her. But actually her pain is she doesn't feel seen. She's not getting the attention she deserves and she's a provocative person. So she's just sat creating these like whirlwinds of chaos in her head that she then has to get out. And then because it's all in her head, he's then just stood there thinking it's all dandy. And then he comes home and she's like smashing through a window. I feel like maybe he didn't see it as much. Like, I think they're so good together. I have to side with Kara.
Well, I think you're so right that the proposal scene is so romantic because that is the first time that and I think it's the only time in the
Yeah.
whole movie that he mirrors her behavior in that way. What I will say is that two things can be true. I believe that just like you said, the baby wasn't the issue. Love was never the issue. They
Mm.
love each other so much, but I think this film sadly is about love not being enough because loving
Yes.
somebody and like we're saying, seeing somebody is entirely different. And I think one of the key scenes for me in their relationship, which probably shows her level of understanding more than his, is when they go to that unhinged pool party.
Ah.
And she just like strips in front of everybody and all the children and jumps in the pool. He has a panic attack and he's like on the couch, like hyperventilating, and everybody's trying to help him. And she just casually strolls up, dripping in her underwear from the pool. And just all of a sudden, so casually, like knows exactly, like zeroes in on him and knows exactly how to calm him down. And despite his embarrassment at her behavior, it works. And she's the only one that can calm him down. And it was a turning point, I think, for Jackson's character because he's like, okay, she might be insane, but I think she's the love of my life. And
So
and
cute.
and he really tries. Like I think up until that point, to Danny's credit, I think that he really only sees what he wants to see and isn't really an active participant in the relationship, which is evidenced through all of her hallucinations about why he's not having sex with her and all this stuff. And that's really the turning point because then we get the beautiful proposal scene in the wedding. But even at the wedding, he only sees her in glimpses and he only like it's like he wants it and he wants to love her, but he can't reach her and he doesn't understand her, which I think
Yeah.
is the true tragedy of the film.
But that was kind of like what I was saying when I was like, "Oh, I don't think they're well suited." I meant like in that again, as you were saying, like love isn't always enough, and that is what
Yeah.
I'm like he
Yeah.
didn't see her, and like
Yeah.
I knew that their relationship was never going to last long term in the state that it was in now because there is a blockade. Like there is something that is stopping them from like really being able to, as the kids would say, match each other's freaks. But also like he didn't see her completely. And I think being in love and you have to actively choose to love every part of that
That's such a good
person.
point.
Uh,
Mhm.
and I just don't think that he had the tools to be able to love her in the way that she needed to be loved and to be held and to feel safe and secure in that partnership and in that relationship.
What did you guys think of the mum, Jackson's mum?
Sissy Spacek. I loved her, but I
I
think
did.
her role was very important because she is a lovely person in the film. She's not any sort of villain, but I think she was an excellent example. Like she kind of represented in my mind like women TM or mothers TM. Like she was kind of this outside voice because there's an amazing line where she's obviously very worried about Grace and she goes, "Oh, well all mothers go a bit loony in the first year." And to say that to somebody who's going through like postpartum struggles, like though the intention is pure, like it's really reductive and really patronizing. But I think like that's how society views women. Like we put our bodies through literal trauma, like Victorian type, you might die birthing this baby, like huge physical, emotional trauma. And then we're just supposed to magically be like sunshine and rainbows when our baby is born. Yeah, but she has such care. I don't know. She was so interesting to me because she saw Grace in a way that Jackson didn't. And yet it still
Yeah.
wasn't the right way. Like, so there's so many shades to how even other women could view her, not just a man that she's in a relationship with. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I loved her character. I really did. And like to Kara's point, there is a way that only women can view each other and a way that only
Mm.
women can see each other and a man is never going to go through those types of postpartum struggles. But again, like Homegirl was going through a lot herself. Like she just lost her husband. And so
Literally.
that is
Right.
another kind of level to it. It's like, yeah, I see you're going through struggle, but babes, I'm sleeping on the couch
With a shotgun.
with a
No,
shotgun, you
literally.
know? Like
The mirroring of like Sissy's I forgot her name as the mother, but like her having her maybe
Pam, I
Pam,
think it was Pam.
we'll call her Pam. Pam sleepwalking with a rifle down the street,
Yes.
laughing manically, but she's asleep,
Mhm.
versus Grace's very obvious. I mean, nobody really knows if she's meant to be cheating or not, but like to mirror that at night when she's going off with the biker, which to me I took as her actually cheating. I think the difference between Sissy sleepwalking and then Grace actively doing the thing, it's like these two generations of people where like
Ooh.
underneath, that's how Sissy's been feeling this whole time, you know, like you don't feel seen, you're a mother and oh, it's gonna pass, it's gonna pass. But I thought it was so interesting how they were kind of the only night scenes that you really see
Mhm.
of the two
Yeah.
women separately. And I mean, that sleepwalking was really terrifying. Like I thought that she was going to kill someone, but then you realize what's actually terrifying is her waking up on her own in the middle of nowhere in the dark with a rifle and
Mhm.
knowing that
Mhm.
she's losing that sanity too because she's lost her husband and Grace has feels she's losing hers. But because she's this new generation of women, it's like she feels she has the power to express herself. Whereas, I
Mhm.
mean,
Mhm.
it's two very different losses and there's grief and stuff, but I just found both of them visually very interesting because then they matched very similarly.
Right.
That's so smart to point out, and I wanted to talk about the grief of it all because I
Mm.
think this film focused a lot on, like we've been saying, the postpartum depression or psychosis period after you have a child, but there's also this storyline of Sissy's husband, Jackson's father, passing away early in the film, but you get flashbacks of Grace having these moments of connection with him.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
you learn later that they named their son after him, like towards the
Oh, I
very
didn't get
end of the
that.
film.
Wow.
Yeah, it's when they're at the beach and the kid, those annoying teenage girls are like, "Can we play with your
That
baby?"
gave
Yeah.
I'd
me
be
that
like,
made me
"Get
shake. I was
away."
like, "Get away
And I'm
from
like,
my
why
man."
do you what are you trying to get it from my like my baby? Why?
Also,
Literally.
that baby's too little to go swimming. Was I the only one who thought that?
Literally so true. That
They're
was a
like, "We
horrible scene.
babysit." I was like, "Okay, but do you know CPR?"
Okay, but
I
also
wasn't
freak.
here.
Like, who does do that? It isn't a dog. Like, I feel like people
I
come up and try and
know!
stroke a dog. It's a baby. Like, what are you
It's a
talking about?
baby.
I've never seen that before in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
It's
ask what his name is, and they say his name's Harry. But I
Mm.
think there's lots of different kinds of grief in this film.
Yeah.
Right.
So you could argue that like, both Sissy Spacek's character and Grace are mourning Harry, but
Mm.
also like mourning, as you said, parts of themselves they can't express or that they can't
Post-mother
understand.
themselves as well, like that who
Mhm.
they were
Yeah.
before they were a mother. Like, she was an artist.
Yeah. And she's a writer and she can't write.
Yeah. Like, I feel like a lot of it,
Mm.
because 'cause I've seen a lot of talk that it is just about postnatal depression, but then it's like, you know, she's having this psychosis, like, you know, there's clearly
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
that's not just postnatal depression, and then I was thinking about she's craving this attention from her husband, but then actually she's just craving him to see who she was before because she's the same person, and everyone seems to see that she's just a mother now. It's not about writing, and she feels she can't write anyway, so it's not like she has that drive to prove to anyone. She's like, just actually see me as a person, not just the mother of this
Mhm.
baby.
And
Mhm.
not just a writer, like, see me as a
Yeah.
person because if that goes away, what do I
Who
have
am
left?
I?
Just this baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. And I think that's such a deep part of like motherhood. And it's not the same in fatherhood. Like it is
No.
never the same. Fathers don't lose their sense of identity. They are still
Mm.
a person before they are a father. But once you are a mother first and a person second. And I think that this film really, really showcased that quite beautifully.
The distinction is made towards the end of the film. She checks into mental health care and she's, like, being
Mhm.
asked questions by this therapist, and they kind of question. I feel like when you think of postpartum depression, you think, "Oh, you don't love your kid," or you feel a detachment from your
Mhm.
kid, but this film really digged into, "No, I love my child, and I take being a mother very seriously, and I like being a mother, but it's everything else surrounding it that's fucking it up."
Mhm.
And she has some line where she's like, "It's not about my baby, it's, like, the world that's fucked up."
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's what motherhood turns into when it's outside of
Mm.
Mm.
just that connection between you and your baby, because there's so many beautiful moments where she's so, like, connected to her child.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really interesting to make that distinction of it's not like she's resenting her child,
Yeah.
it's everybody else's definition of what is going on with her.
That is such a good point.
Yeah. And I think it would be unfitting to not talk about the ending of
Yeah, I don't know
this
how I feel
film.
about the
Yeah.
ending.
Well, and all three of us walking out of the theater, I don't know how I
Silence.
feel, but I loved it. Silent. I need 30 minutes. But okay, we've been spoiling the whole film as we go along, but this is the big spoiler. I'm just going to say what happens so that people know as we talk about it. But basically, Grace walks into the forest, and it's implied that she sets a fire. So
Mhm.
what does she burn?
So I was
Her
confused about this,
journal.
but does she ever use that journal before?
No, but I think
I
that's
don't think
kind of
so.
symbolic of like it haunts her because she can't write.
Well, oh yeah, but my one qualm was because this used to be a book, and I haven't read the book. I thought that was the ending of the book, and why didn't you have like? I mean, it would not work the same way, but like a camera that she burns because this is the like I thought.
Oh, to
Seeing that
make it
journal, I was like,
meta.
oh my god! So in the book, she burnt the book, and she's burning this book, and this has been her right, and this has been her calling card. I was going on a little tangent in my mind, but then because we didn't see the journal ever, it just felt really like more symbolic than anything else had been. So I just felt a bit confused
And
afterwards.
I think it's also interesting that it felt so foreign to us because like maybe that's purposeful in that like she's a writer and she can't get what's going on inside of her out or on paper. That's why she's like, in my opinion, I think that's why she's doing all these really destructive things to herself and to her life, is because she just can't express what she wants to express.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she burns this journal slash book slash we don't know what it is, and and throws it into the forest. The forest around her erupts in flames, and she just walks into the flames, implying that she burns alive and takes her own life.
Burns alive is such a strong word of
Sorry.
choice.
Real happy ending,
There's no
y'all.
screams. It's very poetic for
It's
anyone who
very
hasn't
poetic.
seen
It's
it.
very
peaceful.
beautiful. It's very beautiful. It's
Mhm.
very peaceful. And anyway, all that to say, the part that stood out to me was not even that part, but right before, when she and Jackson kind of go for a drive, and then they're parked near the forest, and they're just sitting next to each other in silence. And all of a sudden, Jennifer Lawrence just turns to him and says, "Enough." Like really tenderly touches his face and then just says, "Enough." And then that's when she walks out and goes into the forest, which would imply like this is her solution. This is like her taking agency in her life and choosing. I kind of saw it as her. I don't know. I'm thinking about this in real time of her kind of preserving her love and her family and like taking herself out of the equation, which is so tragic to think. But what
Yeah.
did you guys think that was with the enough?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, and if we have to take a couple of steps back, because what leads to this is she just got checked out of her mental hospital. They're throwing her this welcome home party.
A sensory nightmare. If I just got out of the
Sensory
mental
nightmare.
hospital,
Can you
Right.
imagine?
Can I get a night? Like, can I get a night?
can I take a beat?
Seriously.
She also hates parties. That's really bad choice of him. Like she doesn't do
Right.
well at parties.
Literally. Famously, every party that she's been to in this film has turned out disastrously, but, I digress. Another reason why Jackson isn't seeing her, but again, I step back.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. It all comes back.
But she gets home and he's redone the whole house. Like, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and I think she's seeing them in this happy baby, and I think she's like, they're doing so much better without me, and
Oh God, I
like,
never thought of it like that.
yeah,
That's
it's
crushed
like
my little heart.
clearly they're doing so much better without me and without my destruction and without all of the problems that I bring to this family and into this equation. And that's kind of where I saw the enough happen. And I think this is when she's realizing like there is no happy ending with us where we can be a family unit with me as I am, and I can't see myself getting better. And I think that the fire, whether symbolic or literal, is her deciding that the best choice for everybody involved is for her to remove herself from the equation and to separate herself from this family. And then Jackson sitting there watching this fire is him kind of coming to the realization and the acceptance that, like, he can't save her. Like, nothing that he can do can help her and to save her, and he has to let her go and let her make this decision to separate herself from their family.
I think it's so interesting that you said, like, this happy ending is, like, better without her, because one of the main tracks the main track that I took away from it was when did you guys clock when she's, like, going into the forest with the baby, middle of the film, and it starts playing April Shower, which is in Bambi, and I remember hearing that and I was like, "Oh, motherhood in Bambi." Wait, and I'm only thinking of this in real time because April Shower's playing in Bambi, and I remember hearing that and thinking, "Oh, that's so, like, traditional." You know, you grow up as a woman and you see that these traditional happy families and, you know, that's, like, nuclear family, it's, like, the ideal, and you think that that's gonna be the fairy tale ending. But hearing that while watching her and the baby, and she's walking into the forest, and I wasn't sure if she was gonna do something awful because we weren't that close with her yet.
Mhm.
But then knowing now that I mean, in Bambi, the mother dies,
I was gonna
and then the
say.
happy ending here, like, it literally loops back if that is 'cause I didn't come away narratively thinking anything about the ending, but what you've now said,
Mm,
both of you, I'm like, that like, especially when she walks into the house and it's all redone and everyone's there
Yeah.
so happy for her to be back, but she's not, and she knows she's gonna fuck it up.
And it's so tragic because I think it speaks to, like, we're having this conversation about mental health and motherhood, and for her to take away, like, "Oh, what's been going on with me? The problem is me." Like, the fact
right.
that we're made to make women feel that, "Oh, you're not fitting, something's not working,
Mm.
it's you."
It's you.
And
Yeah.
she chooses
Mm,
to remove herself versus if we lived in a world that supported the darker parts of
mm.
motherhood and, um, again, the tragedy of Pam and Jackson trying to help in their own ways, but just not having the tools.
But even going back to the Bambi of it all is
Yeah,
that
genius.
not I was like, not only did the mom die in Bambi, which, we all know that the mom dies in Bambi, but she dies protecting her kid. Like, she dies protecting and saving
Danny, why'd you
Bambi.
take it there? Why'd you take it
Stop.
there?
So, like, full circle, she is metaphorically or literally dying because she thinks that this is what is going to be best for her child.
Oh my gosh, and I raise you another Twilight reference. To die to save someone that I love seems like the best way to
That was the most perfect cyclical way to
go.
And another example of a mom dying for her child,
So true. Regardless if she comes back as a
regardless if she
vampire or
comes
not.
back.
Oh,
Whatever.
yeah.
I feel
Wow.
drained even now speaking about it because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, like, just
I
remembering."
know.
I feel drained. I feel emotionally like,
I know.
damn.
One thing I do before we move on, because we can't keep talking about it, we're gonna exhaust ourselves. Um, but one thing I did want to ask you guys about, one thing that really stood out for me in the film is I loved the way that nudity was used in this film
Mm,
and how nudity was shot in this film. And it just got me thinking, like, why not that I, have an issue with nudity in films, but usually I feel like a voyeur when I see nudity in films. But
mm,
with this, somehow, like, not that I felt like it was me, like, I didn't self-insert, but I just felt really, like, grounded and comfortable with it, almost as
mm,
if, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, and I guess I'm trying to connect it also to the animalistic qualities of Grace's character and her just feeling, even though this is about her struggle as a mother, she felt so at home in her body to me, which again, I'm
mm.
like, that's not the issue. It is society. Like, it's not even her hating her body or hating being a mother. It's just the outside forces. I don't know. What did you guys think of that?
Yeah, I think a good portion of it was because the nudity was never sexual. It was never in reference to a sexual act, and it felt very natural. Like the nudity was like her lounging around and like her just existing in her body. So it was almost like I didn't even realize that she wasn't wearing clothes because it just felt
Mm.
so
Yeah.
normal because there wasn't a direct emphasis on like visually like shot. It wasn't a direct emphasis on any one body part. Like they weren't panning her body. Like it was very
There
much
was
she was
no
just
Classic.
gaze.
There
existing.
was
There
no
was no
gaze.
gaze. Like she was just existing in her body as if she was existing in a nightgown, you know? So I think that is partially why you felt like not as much of a voyeur because it wasn't like revealing. It wasn't as if I was like, oh, like striptease. Like it was very much here you are. Like like this is just it. Like this we're existing in our natural habitat.
And also, like, that being postpartum, like, after whenever it's to do with her baby, the nudity, it's like, this is literally I'm a vessel for you to literally
Mm.
Mm.
feed, you know? So, like, after that, you feel so immersed in the idea that this is just her body. But equally at the start, I'm really sorry to contradict you. I remember the sex scene, and because
I
it's
forgot
not
about
got
it
that fucking
completely.
gaze, like I literally I did my dissertation on this, and like I used to sit in the library and watch like really pornographic stuff, and like people could
Screaming.
so see behind me, but I was screenshotting. I did like a video essay on like male gaze sex scenes versus female directors, and I
Mm.
remember
Mm.
the first time I watched Morvern Callar, I was sat watching, it was just on Netflix, and I clicked it on, and as soon as she's in the bath, I knew it was a female director, and I didn't even look at who the director was. As soon as she was in the bath, you're just with her, and that's what Lynne Ramsay does so well. I feel like the
Mm.
handheld camera, like even when they're having sex, it's so romantic and
Yeah.
animalistic because it's again, like Danny was saying, it's there's no panning, there's no like distant her on top, like slow motion. Like you can feel that she's just being. She's not
Mhm.
as an
Mhm.
actress posing. And so then when you watch it as a woman, you're like, oh my God, women bodies are both so beautiful, but also like I feel her. I feel like I am her
Mm.
rather than it being like, oh, it's sexy, you know?
Yeah, no, totally. And this
Right.
is also making me think of another scene where it's earlier on in the film when she's just had the baby and she's up in the middle of the night to feed him. And she
Mm.
goes into what we assume is her office or studio and she lets her breast milk drip onto the ink, onto the
Yeah.
paper,
Mm.
which I'm like, ah, just genius. Like her almost entering this realm where these two sides of herself are emerging, like the breast milk and the
Yeah.
ink
Yeah.
of her being a writer and an artist. And yeah, you're so right. And I also read that they shot the sex scenes on the first day.
Yeah.
But
That's
that
so
Lynne
funny.
Ramsay used it as she put them in dance lessons to prepare for the film, which is funny because there's no like real dance scenes, but she wanted them to like be in their bodies together in not
Mhm.
necessarily a sexual way. And it was a closed set, just her and the cinematographer for those sex scenes. And she was like, it was a gamble, but it worked because it broke the ice and everybody needed to be in their bodies for the film. So we just did that on day one.
And I feel like those dance lessons as well, like if you are a couple, you who's just had a baby, he will have experienced seeing a head come out of her vagina. Like
Right.
you'd
Yeah.
need to be so at one with each other's bodies to be able to, as actors, try and replicate that. And I feel like dancing is the best
Mhm.
way rather than being like both stand naked and just stand there for ages, you know? Which again is very gazy. It's more like the feeling of being that open and that vulnerable, which if they've been going out for a couple
Mm.
of years, like they just would naturally have.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally. Oh
Ugh,
my gosh, I love it. I'm gonna be thinking about
Gosh.
those night scenes for like 3 business days now.
I'm gonna be thinking
I'm
about that
so
ending. You guys have
I
opened my
know.
eyes. I think the tears had already come and I was like, I don't know what happened, but I just didn't think to think about it.
Yeah. But so not to like it to be dramatic, but the fact that you were crying and you didn't know why, and then we just uncovered all this tragedy about being a
Which is
woman, like
so
you felt
weird.
it.
I
You
just
felt
felt it. Like
it.
Women.
even when she said enough, I don't remember that. I blacked out. I literally I must have been just bloody crying my eyes out.
It
Like
was
I
a
don't
fever
know why I felt
dream.
like that, but I did.
Shall we now rewind to 2002 to Morvern Callar?
Absolutely. Let's
Let's
roll
do
it back.
it.
Care Bear, do you want to give us a little synop of
Yes.
this film?
This is a wild film. I also watched it at like 8 a.m. in the morning, which was like, probably not when
But
I should have
today?
watched it.
Same Z.
Today.
Today!
Yeah.
This morning. This
I watched it
morning at
last
like a
night.
bright 9 a.m. I
But it
said,
was good because it really like jolted me awake. So Morvern Callar follows this young woman named, you guessed it, Morvern Callar. And the opening of this film is a crazy opening. But basically, from the first scene, you know that her boyfriend has committed suicide and she finds him. And we'll get into how this is shot because it is not shot how I've ever seen a scene like that shot. It's shot with such tenderness, which is, we'll get into it. But she discovers that her boyfriend has sadly taken his own life. And she kind of sits with it for a while. Like there's a lot of inaction, which we'll get into. And then she takes the money that he has left, presumably for a funeral and to help with, postmortem. She takes that money and she takes her best friend and she goes to Ibiza.
Lich.
vibes.
And the film is following her in this state of grief and just her journey. And to kick it off, one of my favorite things about this film and why I think this film is so impactful is that throughout this journey of grief, we never really get an insight into how she's feeling. We are very much
Right.
like on the outside of this process, which I think is so key. And we also don't get a lot into what their relationship was, what it looked like.
No
We are just
flashbacks.
getting the
Yeah.
fresh, raw actions of this woman, and they don't really make sense. And we're never really let in to that world. And so we're kind of forced to sit with how she's dealing with this grief, what she's running away from. And it's both intimate, but so at a distance as an audience member. Really, the only like true intimate moments is probably the opening, where
Yeah.
it's shot in a way where you think that she's just sort of caressing her partner in a normal sort of like tender or sexual way. And then through different shots and different panning, we see that she's actually caressing his dead body.
I've never thought of it like that. Yeah, that's
That's what I
crazy.
thought, because it's so
Wow.
close and it's so, speaking of gaze, it's very much, she's kind of in awe of him and his body.
Yeah.
And then boom, blood, and you're like, whoa, what's
But I
going
feel
on
like
here?
not even gaze, like it's all on her hands and you can hear
Yeah.
her touching his skin. And I feel like
Mhm.
so much of a motif she has in this film is literally just her and her hands and like
Yeah.
feeling. Like, and we see her
Right.
emotions through feeling, but it's just such a visceral film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so much of her hands. And my favorite shot of her hand, while we're on hands, there's a shot where she's like looking at her hand and painting her nails, and the warm pulse of the Christmas tree is in the background. So it's like, don't forget, there's a dead man in the house. Like, don't forget. But we don't
Constant
see
reminder.
him. It's just the pulsing
Yeah.
light.
It's such a visceral like scene because you're just seeing there's a shot where he's like half in between the kitchen and the living room, like
Ugh.
right next to this tree. And the tree is just blinking and then she's just like there. And
Mhm.
on the topic of like her just like caressing him, it's almost to me like I saw that as her almost disassociating. Like, when you're just like
Yeah.
caressing, like you're just casually touching like your partner and you don't even realize that you're doing it.
Yeah.
That is kind of where like what I was imagining in this scene is like I think she's just like, there's no way he's dead. Like she's just feeling him and it's like there's no way he's dead.
What a way to open up a film about denial.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the whole thing is disassociating. Like he's in the doorway, and every time she has to do anything, she's like hop, skipping, jumping over him to put the pizza in. And then and then when she finally decides like, I'm gonna sell this novel under my own name, that's when she's like, I need to get rid of this body. And that's when it clicks and she's got this like drive to do something. And then I feel like, I don't know the stages of grief, but I feel like if you read through the script, there's probably like instant denial. And then she probably does go through all of these different stages too, because then it's like she gives him this funeral in the hills and she's like touching like all the grass and stuff. And That was an unformed point. I just got a bit
No, it is a
excited.
formed point
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it is a formed point because I think there are definitely like moments in this film that signal
Mhm.
a shift in her, which is important because again, we're not really getting an interior life to Morvern. So like
Mhm.
the scene, actually James pointed this out to me. He watched it with me. The scene where she steps over him to put the pizza in is the first time she enters the kitchen since he
Oh,
died.
wow.
So that's
Mm.
kind of a okay, she's actually like addressing that his body is there. And then you're right, when she steals his novel and sends it out, that's when she cuts up his body.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, that could also be a stage of grief anger. Like, again, we
Yeah.
don't know much about their relationship. All we get is his note. They could have had a. We learn later that he cheated with her
Yeah.
best friend.
Right. And yeah, going back to your point of like, we don't really know much about the relationship. We don't know like almost anything about him, even including his name. Like she only really refers to him as him. And the only time we really see his name is when she's deleting it from his
Lit.
manuscript.
Mm.
So I think that that in and of itself is kind of symbolic of like her having to make this active choice of like deleting
Deleting
him from her
him.
life and
Yeah.
having to go through the motions of what her life is going to look like now without him being there and her having to do this on her own. And that
Mhm.
kind of like starts her como se dice, like odyssey of self-discovery
True.
and kind of desperately clawing at her own self identity and who she wants to be moving forward.
I found it really interesting because I've seen this probably 3 times before, and then
Mhm.
I rewatched it last night after Die My Love, and watching it, knowing Lynn did Die My Love, it made me look at it like, the other times I've watched it, I'm more just going on her journey with her, and I kind of just, like her, ignored him and just went on that journey with her, and I was like, "Oh my god, like, yeah, delete that novel, babe." And then watching it through the lens of this, like, heterosexual relationship in mind, I then started like, it was so weird, but the more that I was rooting for her, like Lynn always makes me do, I realized, you know, when he's got all these instructions for her, like, he's not died a normal way, he's died by suicide in, like, the
Yeah.
horriblest way. So he's also left her, and she's reading these
Mhm.
instructions, and she's like, "And now you're telling me what to do with my own life. You're telling me what to do when you've done this to me."
Yeah, you've
And I
left
yeah,
me.
Right.
you've left me. So he's giving her all these instructions like, "Do this, send my novel." And I was watching it last night, and I was a bit like, "But what have you've left her, like, what does she actually owe him?" Like, she loves
Mm.
him, and
Mhm.
she's now and talking of the Christmas lights, like, that, like, in and out that even the credits do at the start, it's like she's constantly teetering on the edge of, like, life and that death, like her relationship was,
Ooh.
Mm.
which also brings me on to how much worms and maggots and bugs she has this,
And
like,
the
obsession
Mhm.
ants?
with, and the ants, and she's, like, feeling into
Mm.
this mud, and whenever I see these maggots and these worms, they're quite phallic. I keep thinking of how, like, this is after he's in the ground.
Mhm.
That's what's happening to him, and,
Yeah.
like, he's being eaten currently, and so
Eaten.
whenever I then see the hands and she's touching it, she's, like, still in this, like, she's having this almost sexual connection to him through this mud and this dirt and this grief and this awfulness, but she's also like, "I'm gonna do what I want, like, where are you?"
You're blowing my mind right now, Eva,
Thanks.
Mhm.
because you're right, and that I kind of not that I forgot about
Yeah.
him, but, like, I actually forgot about physically where he was.
Yeah.
Like, you're
Was.
saying that she's
Mhm.
touching the earth after she's buried him, and, like, she again, she touches it in such a tender way, and even when she's, like, run away to Ibiza, she keeps returning to the ground and to nature
Mm.
and to bugs, and towards the end, after she's, like, sold his novel as her own and gotten £100,000, she sits and lets ants kind of crawl over her hand, as if in this weird way being like, "Okay, but he's giving me his blessing. I'm just gonna steal
Yeah.
his novel and have a
They're
great
tickling him with,
time."
like, "Yeah, go for it, girl."
Yeah, wow.
I loved how she did, like, because it's so funny. There's like 2 stages of the journey. There's like Ibiza, like party, and even the first party is like one of my favorite party scenes when she's in Glasgow. No, it's not Glasgow. It's like somewhere in Scotland, Oban, I think. And the way that Lynne Ramsay like layers over this like repetitive sound of her own talking, of
Yeah.
her being like,
Mhm.
I don't know where my nail is. I don't know where my boyfriend is. Have you seen my boyfriend? Have you seen? And you're just like, what the fuck? Like, because the whole time you're watching this party, and at the end of that party as well, everyone's outside. They're like covering themselves in snow. They're all like drugged up, so they're really hot and they're like getting really warm and like sweaty and weird. And that's when she kind of starts to look around and she's like, this is a bit odd, but we're gonna
Yeah.
go to Ibiza. And then
Mhm.
she goes to Ibiza, and then you have it again where she's in the toilets and she's chugging this water and they're all clearly on drugs. And that Manchester caricature, who's hilarious, he's like, yeah, my mates, they're gonna like, and she's like not even in the process to laugh at him, but she's just like, this is so weird. Like this kind of 90s Ibiza hedonism, it's
Mm.
not gonna give me what I need. And she's like, then, and
Yeah.
that's when she starts, I mean, because throughout it, there's the motif of the mud and the ants and the worms and stuff. But then that's what she eventually goes back to, is just being,
In the middle of nowhere.
yeah, literally like not being around anyone.
Mm-hmm. Can we
Mhm.
talk about the Lana of it all, her best
I
friend?
love Lana. What do you guys think?
I loved Lana. I feel like I saw a bit of myself in her.
I love
Hey.
that.
I think, yeah, I think she was like, go ahead, best friend, like live your life. Because I feel like she knew deep down something was wrong, but I think she was also giving her friend the space to figure it out like herself.
Mm-hmm. I also think Lana, she first of all, she was hilarious, but I also what I thought was not necessarily funny, but just like interesting is that Lana has this instinct to like not make it about herself in a bad way, but like when
Yeah.
she can tell that her friend is going through something, it's almost like she's trying to take it away and she's trying to
Yeah.
take the burden onto her. Cause like when
Wow.
when they're in the bathtub and Morvern is trying to say like, oh, something's bad happened, like he's left me. And then Lana's like, because of me?
Yeah.
He
No,
like
but
left
do
you
you not
because of me?
think that that's so bad? Because she's basically outing that they've shagged and cheated.
Sh
Yeah, and
Right.
Lana is I think it's also behind the scenes because we learn later that like Lana slept with him. Those
Yeah.
scenes I think she's testing like does Morvern know, and that's why
Mm.
she's upset, and we can hash it out, and like this is why she's upset.
Exactly.
If it was me that made her upset, it's also me that can fix it. So
That's
she
true.
almost in a
Yeah.
weird way wants it to
Wants her
be
to know, like,
about
she
her.
almost wants it
Yeah.
to come out, and, like, she wants her to
Mhm.
Yeah.
be like, "Okay, I messed up bad, and I wanna know how much of this you know so that we can start this journey
Mm.
to, like, be better, like, to be okay
Mhm.
again."
It's such an intricate female friendship thing where you're like, should I just nudge it to see like because
Mhm.
because it's so it could so be plausible that like Morvern knows and she's just letting Lana suffer. Like that's such a like a thing to do is like I'm
Mm.
just going to stay with this knowledge until you confess it to me. But we know that that is so far from her
Yeah.
stratosphere
She's
like
got
she
bigger
actually
fish
doesn't
to
even care.
fry. Yeah.
Her leaning her leaving Lana in the desert.
No, that was so, and then Lana whips out her lighter. It's like, that is so funny. But that again, so female friendship. It's like she's so triggered at her. Morven's just trying to have a cigarette, but she's doing this quiet, bitchy thing of like, I'm not going to give you a lighter, even though we're in the middle of nowhere. Like, it was so well done.
Mm. But then in the end, even though she like fully left her in the desert and she had to meet up with some random people from Leeds and like finish out the vacation, once they're back in Scotland, it's like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I had a great time. Like it's all
Yeah,
forgiven.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like it's so and again I'm like, okay, wow, because I was trying to gauge throughout the whole film like how close actually are they? Like are they really best friends? And in that scene I was like, oh, I think they are. Like,
Mm.
I think, like, it's just water under the bridge. They are best friends. Also, in that scene towards the end, and they're back in Scotland, and Morven's just gotten this check from the publishers from selling his book, and she's like, I want to leave again. I want to go back to Ibiza. I want to, like, leave again. And Lana's like, wherever you are, wherever you go, there you are. Like crap follows you everywhere. Like, because Morven's like, why do you want to stay here, like working at the supermarket in this like shit town? And she's like, well, everyone I know is here, and like I'm happy here. And I think that was such a nice tie into like what I interpreted as Morven running from her grief. And it's like the saying, like wherever you go, there you are. Like yourself and your emotions will follow you wherever you are.
I feel like though, because Morven's not Scottish, and you know that she's already, she's moved, she's set up a new life here with Lana. You know that she has that option. Like she hates her job anyway. She's got all of this money, and then I kind of see it as the whole film is actually her outgrowing Lana's friendship. Like,
Wow, yeah.
I feel like, because at the end she's like, do you want to come with me? And she's like, everyone I know is it, da, da, da. And then she's looking at her like, you're stupid, and Lana's looking at her like, you're stupid. They both just don't, like, the whole time they were in Spain, she's just trying to go partying, and Morven's like not above that now, but she just like doesn't want that anymore.
Like the whole film is like her making these active choices that lead to the next. So like her deciding to go into that kitchen, like her deciding to take her boyfriend's name off the manuscript. It's like her slowly accepting and choosing herself over and over again until she can find out exactly who she is. And I think that this entire film is just little choices that are building up to her figuring out exactly who she is and exactly what she wants out of her life and out of her future.
Y'all are so smart.
You're so smart. Like, whoa.
I thought that this film was such a great companion piece to Die My Love, because to me, like a lot of the stylistic choices were similar, like the way that it's shot. I think Die My Love was definitely more surrealist, but I say that like one of my favorite genres of film is women slowly losing their mind, and so I feel like Lynne Ramsay has definitely become like a director that is gold star in that category, because again, you're so invested in this woman no matter what she's doing and the choices she's making.
And it's them losing their mind while everyone else is fine as well. It's that like contrast. Like even one of my favorite bits that I've never clocked before this like rewatch was when when she goes to the publishers and they're like, God, that female voice is like just so great. And she's like, yeah. And then everything they say, everything she says, they're like they're holding on her every word. And she's like, I work in a supermarket, and like they're just like, oh my God. And then she takes them to this, and I feel like slowly she starts to find this like not creative voice, because she's not creating anything, but when she takes them to this like graveyard, and they're in the middle of the morning, and they've all been drinking, and she's like doing these weird things with the graves, and it's all just this, that they're stood in awe at her. But actually it's so interesting that she's posing as this incredible artist, but actually she's just a normal person who's like tapped into doing whatever the fuck she wants. And everyone else is in awe of that, because they're like, no one acts like this. But actually it's just artists that act like that because they're the ones, and she knows that, and she's kind of like leveraging on it.
Totally.
It's like a confidence. Yeah. She's like discovering this like internal confidence in her, and just accepting who she is, and she's weird and she's quirky, and they're going to eat it up. And she's like, all right, like she slowly starts to realize it the more that they're like, oh my God. And she's like, yeah.
I moved that rose into another grave, and they're like, oh.
It's also like, again, to connected to My Love, it's kind of like they're almost manipulating their own realities, and the more they do it, the more they're like, nothing makes sense and everything is fake, so I might as well just like do whatever I want.
One scene that I did want to talk about was, what did you guys think of the guy that she has sex with in Ibiza, who's just lost his mum?
I love that scene because it made me so sad.
So sad.
Because I think this is the first time we're seeing her be intimate with anybody post his death. And it's such a funny thing to kind of link grief with sex. And both, like, she just kind of wanders into this random man's room.
Because she's following an ant. She's following an ant on the floor.
Yes, that's right. She's following an ant.
And she just wanders in.
And he's just like, can you just stay here with me and talk to me? And she's like, I can tell you about my dead mom if that helps. And they meet in this moment, but then the sex that they have is quite like jumpy and feral and kind
Yeah.
of like almost like they're like clinging and clawing onto something. And there's like an amazing shot where it's, I think, supposed to be his POV on her face, kind of like
Yeah.
almost like jump scare, like stops and it's kind of out of her body for a second. Like, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
because, and this is me hypothesizing, but how I interpreted that was, again, we don't know how long she and her boyfriend were together, but if you have like been intimate with the same person for like a while and then you do that act with somebody else, I thought like maybe she lost herself for a second and was like muscle memory in this sexual act and then all of a sudden recognized this
Yeah.
man as not her boyfriend. I loved it. Danny, what did you think?
I completely agree. I think that there is a like a beauty in that, and as you were saying, like it was so desperate, and I think they were trying to like pour a lot of their emotions into the sexual act just so that they
Mm,
could feel something again. Like they were pouring out their grief into this act, and that's why it was like jumpy and kind of all over the place. And as you were saying, like if you are having sex with the same person for years, again, we don't know how long they had been together, she could like I know she chopped up the body, but like even still, she might not in her heart have believe like remembered that he was dead. Like she was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm cheating on him." Like, like oh, like and I, oh, like I'm cheating on my boyfriend, and then it's like that realization and that wave of remembering that she just lost a person that was anchoring her to this reality. And it was like, yeah, I could tell you about my dead mom, but like also like not even remembering that she has a dead boyfriend. Like she just
Yeah.
lost her dead
yeah.
boyfriend. So
Yeah,
it's
she
like
goes to, well, I guess she goes to mom because he just lost his
he lost
mom.
his mom,
But
but
again,
like
she's kind of still denying.
Mm.
Yeah.
exactly, because like a better moment, because I'm assuming that he lost his mom recently, but a better connection would be like, yeah, I feel the grief that you're going through right now because I just lost my boyfriend. But she's like, no, I'll
Mm.
tell
Mm.
you about my dead mom. And I think that's her still not fully coming to terms with the fact that she has a dead boyfriend.
Yeah.
Whew.
Another one where you just like, whew.
Another one we had to take a big exhale.
A
Like,
big
oh my
exhale.
God.
But yeah, so glad that I watched these two films and
Hmm.
added to my women losing their mind
Bliss.
docket.
So true.
Well, with that, we've already come to the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Ava, it's been so lovely having you on. You're a genius. You're a
Yeah.
genius.
You're a genius. Your guys' points has opened my eyes to the unimaginable.
Oh, and that's why we love doing the pod, because all the girlinas have different opinions and it makes me see the films in different lights. To round out this amazing episode, we must ask what gave us pause this week. Danny, would you like to go first?
I can. And, you know, we're moving into this new year. Um, and I don't know if you guys saw this. It happened at like the ending of 2025-ish, where everybody was doing personal curriculums. Um,
Yes. Ava, have you
yes.
seen this online?
Have you
No.
seen this online?
Oh my gosh, let's explain.
Shut up. Okay, so this wonderful, smart, intelligent, gorgeous girlina on the interweb, on the TikTok, she does these personal curriculums for herself where she like basically makes little like courses, like college or university courses for herself for different things that she wants to learn or like do. So like if it's like she really wants to get into Pilates, then she'll do like a Pilates course where she's like learning the basics of Pilates and like doing weekly assignments, which is like go to a reformers class. Or if you're trying to like teach yourself about like finance, then you'll read like finance books and like do
Mhm.
budgeting courses and things like that.
But it can also be like silly goofy. Like she
Silly
also has one where
goofy.
she's like, I want to learn how to make better cookies. So she checks out all these cookbooks from her library and she's like,
Wait,
I'm making
love
cookies.
Yeah.
that.
So it's just a way to like academia-fy things
Your
you want to
Your
life.
learn.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a lifelong learner myself, I have been doing this. I did this in the fall. I doing it by season. Some people do it by month. I do it by season. So I'm moving into my winter curriculum now. And one of my courses is curing my winter blues and just like trying to force myself
Mm.
to find pockets of joy throughout the week.
Oh,
I know. And so it would be like watching like one of my favorite films. Like it'd be like, I want to choose this joy. And yeah, my film of the week was Call Me by Your Name. And I have a lot of thoughts I have about the actors in it, but I will not digress. But I chose that as my pocket of joy this week. And listen, it's dreary, it's weary out in these streets.
Right.
And I think that we should all choose pockets of joy for ourselves. It'll help with your winter blues. And that's my pause.
Word.
that's lovely. That's
That's the
so
most
nice.
wholesome thing I've ever heard in my
In my life.
Thank you so much.
Choose joy.
Choose joy.
Speaking of pockets of joy, my pause might actually be like a physical manifestation of a pocket of joy.
Screaming.
So basically, I have this amazing downstairs neighbor, this like lovely retired man who like used to work at the English National Opera, and it's just like he's just a hoot and a holler, and he runs our building tight ship. Like he's the best, and he always just has like the best stories. And I was having a natter with him. I was caught in the hallway having a little like chitter chatter, and I was asking about like like the holiday season when he used to work at the opera. And he was like, I was like, oh, did you like end up like taking anything and inheriting any like bits and bobs from the opera? And he goes, yeah, so I took home a 1 kilo bag of silver glitter.
Ah, that's so cute.
And I was like, wait, rewind, please explain. And he was like, yeah, so like one of the operas had this beautiful ending where silver glitter would rain down from the rafters of the theater onto the stage. And every night they'd have to like sweep it back up again. And he was like, the bags of glitter were just discarded when the show was over. So just took some for myself and I use it every year to jazz up my Christmas cards.
Oh my
Love
God.
that. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Also, like, just icon legend. And this is why I'm kind of so looking forward to growing older, because one day I'm just gonna like look in my closet and see a 1 kilo bag of silver glitter and be like, remember when I was an amazing artistic person working in the wardrobe department of the English National Opera?
Also, I know that gets everywhere, so I know that his flat will be the glitteriest flat in the whole world.
Ever.
Of all of London. He's just a glittery flat, but he's a glittery person, so this
He
just makes
is.
sense.
Oh,
He is a glittery person and I love him. It's so him. This is very him. And I love
Yeah,
it.
Danny met him when she came
I
to
have.
visit me. And one of my favorite quotes from him was, we were talking about American politics, which boohoo we will not get into.
Boo-hoo.
But he was like, and when I was a kid, being a Republican just meant that you wore nice hats.
wait, it's so funny.
Let's run that back. Let's
Literally,
run that back.
whatever happened to Republicans just being like rich women wearing pearls and nice
hats.
hats?
And gloves.
And
What
gloves.
happened?
With rings
What
over.
happened?
With rings over the gloves.
With rings over the gloves.
Absolutely.
What happened to
like
that?
we need a bit more big hat energy in the Republican Party, please.
And not the
So
red
iconic.
kind.
And not the red kind. So anyway, that gave me pause, the glitter of it
That's so
all.
funny. I love him.
Ava, do you want to
It
give
is
us your
time for me to give
pause?
pause.
It is.
I was in Camden and it was daytime. It was a weekend and I was walking past Tesco. I was in a rush to get somewhere, but then I was like, what is that music? Wait, this is kind of a jam. I took my earphones out. There's intense gabber, like Russian gabber music playing. And I looked to the side and outside of Tesco is a woman, Russian woman, short hair, sat on a speaker. And I'm like, what an icon, what a legend. And then I pass her, she's crying her eyes out. She's absolutely crying her eyes out. And
Stop
when
it.
you see something like that and you just walk past and you're like, da 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 da. And then I stopped and I was like, I should go speak to her. Like, I should really go speak to her. But then, when you're like, you just kind of freeze. And I I basically just stood and stared at her for a while I like waited to like pass the cues and walk up. But then I was like, am I going to speak to her? Like, does she want to speak to me? Like overthinking. Just sat watching her and thinking, this is actually the coolest shot I think I could ever put in a film, but like, let me not objectify her. So I was
Screaming.
stood like staring at her, and I needed to go. And then I see coming out the shop with their sweets, two like 14-year-old schoolgirls having a natter, having a chat, and one of them goes, "Oi, oh my God, are you okay?" And it like just openly, so loudly, proper London schoolgirls, they like go up to her, they're like, "Are you okay?" And then they start like just having a yap with her. She's explaining why I can't hear her over the music because I don't deserve it, because like I'm not the one that went up to her. But I was watching that happen, and I was like, some people are just so fucking lovely. And like in London, you never see that. Like you could cry anywhere. People do not come up to you. And it was just these two young, ballsy girls having a natter and like going up to her. It was,
I
it
love
was
that.
lovely.
That's actually using the power of a like early teen girl for
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm,
they
for
can
good.
cut you to your core, but they also can like you said, cut through the noise of, "Oi, you okay?" Like just
Yeah.
cut right through. I love that.
It was so
Aw,
ballsy. Really sweet.
girlhood.
Womenhood. I love when
Women.
Women.
I love when women.
Period. I love when women.
Love it.
And
Oh.
I think that's a perfect way to round out our episode. I love when women.
I love
In
when
Full stop.
women.
full stop.
Period. As you would
Period.
say in America.
Period. Period.
Period.
Thank you guys
Well,
so much for having me.
oh my gosh, I was just gonna say biggest thank you to you, Eva, for coming on to the pod. You are the epitome of an indie darling film girly
You are.
that we want to have in this space. So thank you so much for lending your thoughts and your cinema genius to this episode.
It was an honor. I'm fangirling already. I listen to Paul's pod all the time.
Well, Danny, if the lovely listeners want to join this party and get more content, more of us, more clips of Ava's genius, where can they go?
You can find us on socials, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Pause Pod Girls. And we desperately hope to see you guys there. And we also desperately hope to see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.